landing spots for rookie wide receivers, and I want to look at this through a couple different lenses. So we're going to go through each wide receiver. We're going to go through their landing spot, and we're going to go through redraft, dynasty, just an open conversation about it, and then we can each pick what we think is the best landing spot for these guys.
All right.
Let's start with Treylon Burks, wide receiver, Arkansas. We both consider him, it was because of you clearly, but we both consider him the reason Arkansas was good at football this past year.
I preached that until the Suns came down.
His professional comp was A.J. Brown. Clearly, the Titans agreed because they traded A.J. Brown, took Treylon Burks, Greg. What do you think about that decision, and do you think he will succeed in this Titans offense, knowing that it's him and Bobby Trees, him and Robert Woods there?
This is going to be yeah, it's interesting. It's like a younger and less dynamic combo of Corey Davis and A.J. Brown, if that makes sense. I mean, first off, I'm happy that they don't have anyone that's a top 5 pick that can underwhelm like Corey Davis, that even though Corey Davis probably shouldn't have been a top 5 pick in hindsight, to say the least. Yeah. I like Treylon Burks. I think 40 time he's not as explosive as A.J. Brown, so that's probably the one get-go from the right there. I think he has the size. I think he has the length. I think he has like the physicality that Brown had, but the difference is that Brown was a sneaky burner as well.
Yes.
And I think that's what Burks is going to suffer from to that degree. I think Burks will probably play more similar to Julio from that degree, just as like the taller kind of guy that will go up and contest a catch and will make plays to a degree. But trying to utilize him in the role of A.J. Brown might be a bit of a tall task in all seriousness. However,
Agreed.
I will say is the way that the Titans run their offense, it's very play action heavy.
Yep.
It's how Tannehill made it work because Derrick Henry can load the box and you can take advantage of the one-on-one mismatches. I don't think Burks will not put up similar numbers to A.J. Brown. I think that's crazy. But I do think he'll be a solid option for them.
Well, I think the usage might be higher than A.J. Brown. I do think there's a real situation where Treylon Burks' usage is higher than A.J. Brown. And the reason I say that is because I think what we saw last year was that when you give Derrick Henry everything, he's going to break. He is King Henry. Right. He's a freaking god. But it comes down. So I see Treylon Burks out of the back a decent amount.
Well, let's also credit this, too, is that the Titans, like, they got that number 1 seed, too, and they did not have Derrick Henry or A.J. Brown or Julio Jones for the majority of the year either. Nope. So, like, the way they run their offense will work very well if they have the right pieces in place, too. So, Derrick Henry will still get the majority of the reps, but, like, Treylon Burks could be a guy that could put up some sneaky numbers this year. I just don't expect the yak that we would probably expect from a guy like A.J. Brown. That's the difference. So it's going to be a different dynamic.
Let's roll over to Jahan Dotson. Penn State goes down to the Washington Commanders. I like Jahan Dotson a lot. I think that he wasn't even really given a fair shot at Penn State and is still as elite as he was. Scary Terry, somebody that they're most likely somewhat confident with being able to move on from, knowing that Scary Terry, DK Metcalf, Debe Samuel, A.J. Brown, all were pretty much ready to leave their current teams for bigger deals. I think Jahan Dotson is going to be there a year, and they let Scary Terry walk. Jahan Dotson, wide receiver 1. I'm very interested to see how he does with Carson as his quarterback. I don't think he needs to step in and be the one because of Terry, because of Curtis Samuel, because of Logan Thomas if he's back, of Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson. I worry about Jahan Dotson as an actual NFL value receiver at the position in fantasy. I think Treylon Burks' usage thrusts himself to the top of what you need in fantasy. Jahan Dotson doesn't necessarily have to be that guy, and I think that's good for him for a professional career, but I worry about him on a fantasy level.
What I will say is that I think Jahan Dotson I think what Carson Wentz is working with is a better receiver group than what he had last year in Indianapolis.
100% agreed.
So that at least is something to work with. I think Jahan Dotson's definitely more of a possession guy, so that'll work out very well in that case. He'll be more of a middle of the route type of player, which I think is something that they desperately need.
Yep.
In that case, I don't think in terms of the rookie receivers that are there, he's not one of my priority guys from the get-go, but I do think he'll definitely be a guy that
on this list for me.
Yeah, I think he'll play I think he'll have a big increase his second year, but his first year, I don't expect too much from him. I do think what I will appreciate is that he's a lot different than his previous one that you compared him to in Josh Dotson, which was a similar naming type guy, because Josh Dotson was a burner and nothing else.
You know, it's
Jahan
real,
Dotson. Jahan Dotson is also at least like someone that like can make the dirty catches and isn't afraid to go up the middle. So like that's something that I can at least appreciate for. He's a more possession guy.
Well,
he's a Jarvis Landry type receiver, I think.
I just realized there's actually 8 guys we need to talk about. I just realized right now that Skye Moore wasn't on here. So I added Skye Moore. He's in there now.
But in fairness, he was a second rounder, so.
So was Burks. No, not Burks.
No,
Dotson. Wasn't he?
No, Dotson was a first.
Were these all first rounders other than Skye Moore? Christian Watson? No, he was a second rounder.
Second.
Yeah, I got him on here. Okay. Wow. I forgot. Okay. For some reason, I don't know why, I forgot where Jahan Dotson was. So currently right now, I would have Burks at 1, Dotson at 2. C ranking, that's how you rank things.
Mm-hmm.
Drake London, the number 1 wide receiver off the board, going to the Atlanta Falcons. Clearly the number 1 there with not many other big names other than they picked up Brian Edwards out of Miami. They got Zekomadius, I think his name is. It's a long name. I'm so sorry I pronounced that wrong. But they get rid of Russell Gage. Calvin Ridley suspended for a year for sports gambling despite domestic violence, abusers, and sexual predators being in the league, but that's a different conversation for another day. Drake London, yep. Greg, how do you see him panning out with Marcus Mariota in Atlanta?
Well, first off, I would not be shocked in the slice if Desmond Ridder ends up winning the starting job.
I don't think he'll win the starting job because I think that team is well, okay, never mind. I guess Kyle Pitts is there too. I was going to say, I think this team is too bad for them to want to shove him in there. But, dude, I do like Ridder a lot.
Yeah, I think their running game needs to improve a little bit to make it work a little better. But I would not be shocked if Ridder is the type of quarterback
that just, BYU.
I would not be shocked in the slightest if he just comes out during training camp and wins the job. I really wouldn't. But in terms of that, though, I like Drake London on this team. I was a little skeptical at first just because I didn't know how this offense was going to work. Yep. But I do think that Pitts is a very good player. I don't think he put up the numbers that we expected last year, obviously, because rookie tight ends never do well.
Technically, he was the best outside receiver, if you consider him that, in the NFL last year.
Which is scary to think about because of the way that they utilized him. I think he only had 1 touchdown last year too, but he also had 1,000 receiving yards, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
So I think he'll increase that definitely this year. Drake London, I'm curious. It depends on the quarterback for me. I don't know if Marcus Mariota will be the best fit for him, but I think if Ridder is there, I think it'll improve his stats a little bit more because he'll be targeted a lot more. But I also think me and you have been on record that when London was healthy at the beginning of this past year, he was going to be the number 1 receiver. So I think he's going to remind a lot of people coming into this year that he will be that way for me.
London, Burks, Dotson for me. Let's get into Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson goes to the Jets, which pushes back a few guys, moves some things around. They obviously take Breece Hall as well. I personally love the combination of Moore and Wilson. I think Wilson is the one. Moore can fit in the slot and be a 2. Wilson, for me, the only problem I have with him, Greg, I think he is probably, if not Drake London or Jamison Williams, obviously, the one here, which is great. I worry about Zach Wilson's production in terms of what that team can provide, but I do think Zach Wilson will have a good year this year, is how I'll word it.
That's my problem. I struggle to trust Zach Wilson because when I look at this offense, I see Breece Hall, I see Michael Carter, I see CJ Uzomah, I see Elijah Moore.
Yep.
I think Corey Davis is still there. And now I see Garrett Wilson, and it's like there are so much for you to work with and stuff. So all you have to do is improve a little bit, and I think this Jets team could maybe surprise some people for all we know. But my problem is that I don't know if I can expect the type of progression that we see from Zach Wilson. So that's my only hesitation from that. I like Elijah Moore a good bit. I think he was very solid his rookie year. I'm curious to see the reps that are taken between him and Garrett Wilson now. I think Moore might be looked at a little bit more just because of the familiarity right there. But I do think Garrett Wilson, when he gets the ball, he has the speed to be able to make it work out of the backfield. So I would put him after London for me at 2 for me because I think he can make plays in all seriousness. But my concern is still the quarterback. I think, and this is saying something because I have no idea what the Atlanta quarterback situation is, but I think the Jets situation is just ugly.
Yeah, but you know what it is. Same. Drake, Williams, Burks, Dotson, Chris Alave. The Saints traded up for him twice. I adore Chris Olave. I think he's going to slide to me in Dynasty. No one likes when you talk about your fantasy team, but I think he's going to slide to me in Dynasty, which I'm geeked about. I'm obsessed with Alave. I think that Michael Thomas is a fucking wash. I'm excited to see him go in the Saints offense with Jameis Winston, who loves to throw the ball downfield. So for me personally, he would fit right at 3. It would go London, Wilson, Alave, Burks, Dotson.
You know what's scary to think about too? Like if Michael Thomas comes back healthy, that's Thomas, Jarvis Landry, and Chris Olave in that offense. That wide receiver core just massively got upgraded very quickly for that Saints team.
The greatest glow up in NFL history.
No, I would love that. If Jameis Winston stays healthy, I think he could do some damage with this receiver core in all seriousness.
Agreed.
And Olave
very
would
much so.
Olave would play the and I'm trying to remember. He's not as big as Mike Evans, but he definitely has some Godwin game to him. He's a little bit faster than Godwin, though. So let's not forget with Godwin and Evans, like Jameis Winston had a 4,000-yard season, actually 5,000-yard season if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. So there's something to be said right there. So you really got to pay attention to that Saints team. So I would probably put Olave after London for me now, just based on that, because
I like that.
Because think about it. Like if you look at that offense, and Jameis Winston always claims that he's improving, and I think numbers wise before he tore his ACL, his numbers were pretty good with New Orleans last year. So I think if he was the quarterback all year, this would have been a team in the playoffs. So I think this could be a good situation for him.
Christian Watson goes to the Packers, takes over for Adams. The Packers wide receiver room does not look that good. I mean, Lazard's still there. I think that Christian Watson went to South Dakota State, North Dakota State. I'm even fucking North that up. He's not a zip. He's a bison.
He's a bison, baby.
When he originally went there, he wasn't as big. He's now like 6'5". I'm obsessed with this dude. I think Watson is a freak of nature.
What the fuck is it with these North Dakota kids that just all of a sudden they just grow like 7 inches when they go to college or something? Like goddamn, like Carson Wentz was like 5'8" when he went there apparently and just shot up. Supposedly.
If we're talking landing spot, I don't know if there's someone, maybe Alave right now to the guys we covered, better than Watson.
My concern, and I think I brought this up to you, is that previous times that they drafted receivers, I don't think any of them contributed dramatically their rookie season.
I don't think any of them were as good as Rodgers. Christian Watson.
Right.
And they all had to battle with Devontae Adams for snaps.
No, I'm not even talking about that. I'm referring to before Devontae Adams. Like I'm talking like Jordy Nelson, Greg Jennings, Randall Cobb, even Devontae Adams and stuff. Like none of these guys like were world beaters their rookie year in all seriousness. So
that's fair.
If anything to me, my money is more on like Allen Lazard being the guy who's the breakout, just because he's the clear-cut number 1 on that team.
Yeah.
So
I have Tyler Davis, their current third-string tight end, as their breakout player of the year. I have an article dropping tomorrow. Every NFL team's breakout player from under Deke's radar, just so you know.
That's a very deep pull, I must say, on your part.
Yeah, I need like 10 more teams to finish, so we'll see what happens. But Skye Moore, Greg, Chiefs. Personally, for me, I think this is one of the best fits in the NFL right now, and I think it's because in the article, spoiler alert, my breakout player for the Chiefs is Mikko Hardman. They drafted Mikko Hardman when Tyreek Hill was expected to be suspended. They took him for a very specific reason. He's a burner. I see him use him the same way, but Skye Moore is an interesting addition with Juju added as well, because I think Skye Moore fits more in the Juju role. It's very interesting to see what happens there than the Tyreek Hill, Mikko Hardman role.
That's interesting because Skye Moore is definitely a bit more undersized than Juju, so I don't know if he fits the same way.
He ain't fast like Tyreek, I'll tell you that much, Buck.
That's true. That's true. He does have the speed. He ain't fast like Tyreek, but he does have like a speed that is commensurate to it. So I think it would work out a little bit to that degree. But I do love the Skye Moore Chiefs pick. I think value-wise, just for the fact they got them in the second round, is incredible to me. I think for me, I would put him third behind London and Alave.
Cool with me. And then Greg, your team. This guy has to be last. Jamison Williams to the Detroit Lions. I mean, if this isn't last, I don't know what is.
So excited. Excited.
No, I think Jamison Williams is another guy. So currently right now in Dynasty, no one likes when you talk about your team. Hall's going to go 1. London's going to go 2. Kenneth Walker's going to go 3. I think Wilson will go 4, and then at 5 will be Jamison Wilson, and then the 6th guy will basically decide between Burks and Alave for me. And then I'm going to probably end up with Burks or Alave. I'm going to end up with Christian Watson. And then I'm going to end up with George Pickens at 11. And then at 203, I'm taking Isaiah Spiller, and I will walk away happy.
Can't go wrong with that. My concerns, obviously, number one, I have no idea if he's healthy enough yet to start the season.
That 4.3 speed needs,
Yeah, that 4.3 speed I'm excited for, but I don't know if he'll be ready to start the season quite yet, so that's my concern. Number two, I can't trust Jared Goff to save my life, so that's a big problem on my hand right there. But I will say, Amon-Ra St. Brown really came on at the end of last year, very strong, and I think him and Williams complement each other so well.
Agreed.
Because Williams is definitely the burner, and Amon-Ra St. Brown's the possession guy. He's a physical guy as well, which is, I think, a great dichotomy to work with. So I'm excited for how both of them can play off of one another coming to this year, and I'm so excited that he is a Lion because I think it just fits so well.
Best landing spot, Greg, go now.
To me, it's Drake London.
Okay. For me, it's Chris Olave. I'm with you on that one. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for tuning in to another wonderful episode of Two Beers Deep. This was very fun. I will be cutting this one just because we did a 30-minute opening stand-up comedy set about Jesus. Greg?
We're religious people here at Thoughts from the Bench. Go figure.
We will see you next week for another great episode, buddy.
See you next week, bud. And I cannot wait to bless you with the stuff that happens to me this previous week.
Bless me. See you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you guys later.